Today on the CTV News at 5, Remembering Ralph. The Marthas and Henrys of Alberta celebrate the life of former Premier Ralph Klein. Plus, prison time for the man behind Lethbridge's first double homicide. And a city man is charged in a sex assault.
CTV News with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. It was a fond farewell for a man widely known as the People's Premier. Politicians and real people, the Marthas and Henrys of the world, as Ralph would say, packed the Jack Singer Concert Hall to pay their final respects.
Think I'll go out to Alberta. Weather's good there in the fall.
Each speaker, from former Calgary Mayor Dave Bronconnier to Prime Minister Stephen Harper, paid their respects to not only a politician, but a man they called a great communicator and a man they all agreed was good for a few laughs. Now today, the life of Ralph Klein was celebrated in a memorial in Calgary. The former Premier of Alberta and long-serving Mayor of Calgary died last Friday at the age of 70. Politicians past and present from all stripes were in attendance, all honoring the man who they said had a quick wit, the friend as well. CTV's Alberta Bureau Chief Janet Dirks has the story.
It was his final journey, a motorcade proceeding through downtown Calgary, the city Ralph Klein was born in and loved, where thousands gathered to honor his memory. The people, the Marthas and Henrys he often spoke of.
He did a lot of good things. We love him, actually.
The politicians, the dignitaries.
Because he had a great vision and a great love of the country, he was very, very clear when he communicated to the public.
And Ralph Klein, the communicator, was celebrated.
I know that every single politician in this room will agree with me when I say that as a politician, the single best compliment you can receive from a citizen, the single best thing anyone can ever say to you, is if they ever say to you, you know, you remind me a little bit of Ralph Klein.
Klein was lauded for his refusal to put on airs.
He was straightforward, blunt talking. When meetings bogged down, he'd say something like, let's cut the crap here. Let's get agreement on this so we can go have a drink or go play some golf.
It is political courage, the courage to rise above the safe words and the ponderous platitudes. Not often enough do we see this special gift.
The last words went to the Prime Minister.
To Albertans, he was King Ralph. I remember that phrase, you know, people outside Alberta don't get that. He was King Ralph. We said it in a way that we never meant it. He was King Ralph only in the sense of being a king-size character. But in personality and demeanor, he was really to us Citizen Ralph.
Ralph Klein once said he may not have been a conventional or textbook premier, but he did his best to listen, and the people came out to say thank you. Janet Dirks, CTV News, Calgary.
Of course, besides the accolades from his political colleagues, many of Ralph Klein's everyday supporters attended to pay their respects too.
We're really going to miss him.
Sally Black met Klein on the Siksika Nation, which officially adopted him and made him an honorary chief. Many in line for tickets today had their own memories of meeting the man. Now, the Calgary ceremony actually started at noon. However, people started lining up at 7 a.m. So people in line shared their stories of Klein with each other. The stories were all different, of course, but they shared one element in common. They highlighted the former premier as truly a man of the people. Bridget Brown reports.
We used to drink together.
Frankly, that's how many people are remembering Premier Ralph Klein, as a politician who was, above all, a person, a friendly face down the bar.
I remember him as the great partier of all time.
On the other hand, some here to get seats for his memorial aren't even of drinking age. 9-year-old Will Sorrell and his family were the first in line.
We're here today because we want to show respect for someone that important.
Supporters began to line up before 7 a.m. for the noon memorial. They spent the time sharing memories of a premier they loved. Patricia Ford loved his fiscal conservatism and got to tell him in a rather informal setting.
We rode the same elevator, and he was going to the gym and I was going home, or vice versa.
Children's entertainer Ron Barge, better known to Calgarians as Buckshot, got to know him through his children's show, and the two remained friends.
Many times after that we'd meet, we golfed together a few times, and just a nice man.
Dignitaries of all kinds are hailing Klein as a great Albertan and a great Canadian. Those who voted for him again and again say the same, only they call him Ralph.
Did a lot for Calgary and for the province too of Alberta. Excellent fellow.
Now to a little sunshine in our day, Dory Rossiter. And Dory, congratulations. 23 years ago today, you started working at CTV.
It just seems like that short a time. It really does. It just seems like it's just flashed by. But yeah, it's been a good time and not leaving yet. So, you know, more weather to come, as they say. And we do have more weather to come. And it's not that it's bad weather, but certainly cooler than what we've been experiencing for the latter half of the weekend. I'll give you all the details in a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Dory. Well, there was relief but little satisfaction for family members as they left the Lethbridge courthouse in the city's first ever double homicide sentencing. After 309 days in custody, 28-year-old Cody Blue Favel was sentenced to 14 years in prison for manslaughter with no chance of parole for 7 years in the deaths of Aaron Thacker and Marty Steele. Daryl Rummeld reports.
Yeah, not happy.
The verdict was met with frustration and anger outside the Lethbridge courthouse. There were tears inside the courtroom as victim impact statements were read. Cody Blue Favel stared at the ceiling, then floor, and at one point covered his face in his hands. Favel admitted to stabbing 30-year-old Aaron Thacker and 35-year-old Marty Steele to death last May. Steele's aunt Lillian described her family as heartbroken.
And it's been hard on the family, but with this closure, we can begin to move forward and start some healing.
Very frustrating. It's a joke. This whole justice system is a joke. You know, he goes out and kills 2 people and gets 14 years and laughs as he walks out the courtroom. How does that look at... I don't even know what to say. I'm so angry.
Steele and Thacker were stabbed to death in Adams Park along 13th Street North after what police had called a drug deal gone bad. Court heard a disagreement escalated quickly, and when Steele tried to punch Blue Favel, he retaliated with a knife, killing him. Favel then turned on Thacker, stabbing him as many as 7 times. He made off with $200 from Thacker's wallet, discarded the weapon, and fled to a nearby residence where he was later arrested without incident.
There was a lot of discussions that were had in relation to what would be a fit and appropriate sentence in this situation. We'd proposed a range of sentence of 13 to 15 years, and the judge gave a sentence that was within that range. Based on my client's personal circumstances and the law in Alberta, it's an appropriate sentence.
Before court was recessed, Blue Favel stood and told a courtroom full of friends and families of his victims, quote, "I'm sorry for what I've done. I don't expect you to forgive me, and I hope you can find some closure now." Still, the families say they may never have closure, but call today's verdict a good first step on a long and winding road towards healing. Daryl Rummeld, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Favel will receive credit for the 309 days credit for time served in custody. Meanwhile, a 44-year-old man was arrested at his Southside home last night in connection with the sexual assault of a 30-year-old woman. It was this surveillance camera located near 6th Avenue and 6th Street South that helped police locate Darius Shawn Chief Body. On March 28th at around 4 a.m., Chief Body allegedly attacked a 30-year-old woman who was walking in the area. She was grabbed from behind, forced to the ground, and sexually assaulted. Police say the victim didn't know the suspect.
This is a serious public safety issue. We're happy to have the prosecution initiated and the ability to reassure the public that this was very much an opportunistic crime. It was not a predatorial, if you will. This was not a person that lied in wait with a bandana hiding behind in the bushes. This was opportunity.
Chief Body made his first court appearance this morning. 2 men are in custody after reports of shots fired at a home in Kimberley, BC. Police received 1 call of a shot being fired at a residence around 11 o'clock last night, and then a second call from the same home around 1 this morning. The home is on Archibald Street. 3 people were inside, but no one was injured. Police got a description of a vehicle and were able to track a car a few kilometers from the incident. Firearms charges are pending against 2 men, and police are trying to figure out how the people are connected.
We're still in the midst of that. We believe that it's not a random act, but we haven't determined exactly what that connection is yet.
RCMP have seized the vehicle the suspects were in and are doing forensics testing. It's been 1 month today since fire ripped through a South Lethbridge animal rescue shelter. The Last Chance Cat Ranch was leveled by the blaze. Fire investigators blame faulty wiring in the attic. It claimed the lives of roughly 30 cats, severely injuring dozens of others. The owner, Elizabeth Ginn, says vet bills have totaled more than $30,000, but thanks to the generosity of supporters, they should be able to cover those costs. She says she has been overwhelmed by the support from the community.
It is hopeful. We have tremendous support. The sad thing always remains, it's too bad the support wasn't there before for more adoptions, especially for the old ones. But we've got most of the cats in foster homes and they're all doing very well. They were cats that were well loved and cared for, and they continue to be.
A benefit will be held April 13th at 6 o'clock at the Royal Canadian Legion. The Minister of Alberta Services says the Condominium Property Act is far outdated and needs to be updated to better suit owners and tenants. Manmeet Boulard was at the Lethbridge Legion last night to meet with local condo owners. The Act was last updated in 2000. He says much has changed since then, and the Act needs to reflect those changes. Boulard is holding a series of meetings throughout the province to hear the concerns of Albertans on the issue before presenting an amended copy of the Act to legislature. Boulard admits it will be challenging to meet the demands of everyone.
It's very important that we take the time to make sure that we get the revisions to this act right. We make sure we're talking to everyday Albertans to make sure that their input is included in changes so that everybody's protected.
There are roughly 5,000 people in Lethbridge who live in condominiums. To the markets now, where the TSX closed down for the 5th straight day.